Hey everybody, Eddie Hates Prodigies here, back with another anime review. Today's victim is dealing with the Mikadono sisters, a summer 2025 anime from PA Works about family. Let's talk about it. Based off a manga written and drawn by Aya Hirakawa, dealing with the Mikadono sisters follows our protagonist, Yu, who's a bum, plain looking, no skills, can't do shit. But he is the son of a goated actress. Peak cinema type shit. And yeah, that's obviously going to cause some expectations that maybe he can't meet. You know, not everyone's a prodigy, which it is what it is, because he's not worried about all that. All you wants is a family, as that was his mother's final wish before passing. On the flip side, we got the Mikadono sisters, who aren't bums, got skills, and can do a lot of shit. They are prodigies. Ooh, kind of the theme of the fucking series. Or at least one of the major themes. And due to Yu's mom knowing the Mikadono sisters' dad before her passing, Yu ends up living with these three. And yeah, family. Obviously, I left out some details, but it doesn't matter. It's not anything really crazy. This is kind of how it starts. And, you know, they all get closer together and stuff happens and other things, you know, it's like an anime. Now, I won't lie. Based off of the synopsis alone in, like, the first episode or two, and due to the fact that at Anime Expo we got these, which are, like, it was like a promotional thing for certain manga and stuff, but we got these. I didn't read this. I actually still haven't read it, but my friend John got it as well, and he was in the hotel room reading it, saying it low-key slapped. I was like, yeah, because John can like good series. He's liked a lot of series that I've put him on, for example, like Evangelion, Monogatari, you know, some of those few favorites. He likes stuff like Code Geass, and back in the day, he got me into Naruto, so, you know, all pretty good series that I've just mentioned. But he also loves Girlfriend, which I'm not judging, you know, like the series if you want, I don't fucking care. But bro is trying to get me into it so much. And that's one series that I tried so hard to get into on multiple occasions, read and watch, just for him, and I just couldn't do it. I was like, this is just kind of bad. And yeah, there's a lot worse series out there, but that doesn't make it better. It's not gonna make me like this series more. So I was like, sometimes he likes good shit, sometimes he likes bad shit. I didn't know what to think of this recommendation. At its worst, it'd be really bad. At its best, it'd be okay, and I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did, because it sets itself up kind of like any other series in this rom-com genre, you know, multiple girls, a normal ass looking protagonist, but this time with red hair instead of black or brown, but in a way, its execution is so much better than its initial first impression. I feel the same way about something like Quintessential Quintuplets, not saying that this is that level of peak, because that is a fucking great series, but for lack of a better comparison, it shares surface level similarities, both in plot and general vibe. You know, multiple girls, sisters, main character, you know, that sort of thing, and just the type of series overall. And that anime/manga has all the reason to be a mid-ass harem manga, but it somehow delivers an enticing enough story to last 122 chapters and still be not only written well from a character-to-character standpoint, but in my opinion, extremely satisfactory in the romance department. Because Quince is a romance with multiple girls where it doesn't make it super obvious from the start who will win. Because shows like that feel pointless sometimes. Or at least everyone thought this character would win or this character would win, and someone else did, which still made sense. And despite dating the main character being what was considered winning for that series and many other series like it, I would say all of the potential interests won in life. So it wasn't just about, oh, who's gonna date the main character, it was about these character growths, but the romance was also a really big part of the series by the end. So yeah, while the journey is more important than the endgame romance, in my opinion, if you're reading something for the who will win factor and you already know who will win, it kind of ruins it. I'll tie this all in real nicely in a bit. Let's switch back talking about the Mikadono sisters so I can tie it back real nicely. Because I feel slightly similar when I watch Mikadono. You know, they have a very low risk, medium reward formula. They draw you in with good character designs. And the story doesn't have to be peak as long as it's fine. If I like the characters themselves, then nice, right? But for some reason, I come out of each episode feeling refreshed. Feeling like my time wasn't wasted by yet again another normal seasonal rom-com. These character interactions are good. These motivations aren't bad. The deeper moments slightly move me. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I don't know where I'd put it on a scale of 1 to 10, you know, maybe 6, maybe 7 even. I'm sorry I had to do it. This is the second fucking video where I've done it. We gotta stop this trend, guys. And the unfocus on romance is ironically its biggest strength so far. Like, yeah, there's obviously tension there. It's clearly going to be part of the series at some point. But at least for season 1, it puts the characters' individual arcs before any romance. It's like real life. You have to focus on yourself, and then maybe romance will blossom for you eventually, but you can't force it. If you are here for mostly romance, then, like I said, season 1 isn't huge on that, but the final episode makes it clear that the next arcs will step it up. I haven't read the manga, though, so I could be wrong. I could just be flat out incorrect. Maybe it becomes a fucking sci-fi action plot, becomes a whole different series. I don't know. It is what it is. Next topic. This is kind of a not a tangent because it has to do with this, but it's kind of something that I realized as I was writing in the script kind of devolves into another conversation, so I would try to keep it as short as possible. This show has a surprisingly little amount of fan service, at least not nearly as much as I assumed a series like this would have. Or at least I don't remember too much. It's been a few months. I remember a couple moments, but fan service or lack thereof is a plus or negative depending on who you ask. For me, I don't care either way. 99 times out of 100, it's not going to change my overall view on a series due to fan service, because I've watched anime long enough to have accepted it's part of the whole package. So if it's fan service I like, okay, cool, it's fan service I like, I guess. If it's fan service I don't like, you just kind of learn to block it out, or at least for me. But I also understand that a lot of people don't like it, but also some people fucking love it. That's why I'm mentioning it. Future Eddie here. I just wanted to add really quickly just to clarify a tiny bit, because I'm not sure if I made this clear or if y'all would be thinking this. I thought it'd be worth addressing as well. Yes, there's a lot of series where you should know going into anyways it's probably going to be fan service, but there are also series where unsuspecting people might go in expecting just straight story. They don't advertise themselves as that type of series, and then it'll also have fan service. That's the only reason I really mention it, because no matter what type of anime fan you are going to run into it at some point. And as I'll clarify later, I mean strictly sexual fan service, not necessarily stuff like, oh, call back to this moment type of fan service, like nostalgia bait, because I'll mention that later as well, but that's not the point of this section. So while, yes, I could just put it all in a nice bow and gift package or whatever, and just shoo you off with like the, well, don't watch it if you don't like it sort of thing, it's more nuanced than that, because it shows up in a lot of stuff. And like I said, specifically a lot of series that people might not even expect it in. I don't necessarily go into a series thinking, oh, will this have fan service or not? You just kind of know what type of series is, what type of series, but not everyone does. And it's not something I keep track of, but I'm sure there's series that I didn't expect to have fan service that did. And there's also a lot of really good series, really highly acclaimed series that might have way too much fan service for people. I just think it's always worth bringing up if a series has fan service or not for those people. And that's why I started including it in this video. It's not me going like, oh, we got to change the anime industry. No, it's just me going, here, this has this. It's up to you what you do with this information. Move on with the video. I will say I have noticed that, as I've matured in my years, I find myself not really giving a fuck about it, though. At least the sexual fan service, in the eyes of anime fans. If it's fan service like nostalgia bait, okay, low-key, I'd be falling for that a lot. But if I want to see anime titties, hentai exists. If I'm watching something for its story, fan service doesn't move me. Like, yes, I still find characters attractive. Like, in To Be Hero X, they had Moon introduced in the first episode, who I fucking fell in love with. One of my favorite recent designs. It's a dongwu, not an anime, but it's close enough, it's anime in my heart. But in the serious moments of the story, boy, am I glad her clothes didn't suddenly come off. Obligatory Fire Force joke, by the way. Because yes, while I said I'm indifferent to it, I do still think it can disengage you from the plot. Like, if you're locked in, and then suddenly a character's clothes are ripped or something, or this happens or whatever, or I don't know, it can throw you off your game ever so slightly. Most fan service doesn't last long enough to completely unimmerse you from the series, but I don't know, maybe I'm thinking about this too deep. I know it's not that serious, but it kind of is, for the sake of your storytelling ability, depending on the author and how sparingly they use fan service or how tastefully they do it. It's kind of interesting to see. Outside of like culture reasons, because yeah, obviously it's big in the manga culture in general, but just for storytelling purposes, why you wouldn't choose to use fan service, I guess. I don't know. It all depends case by case at the end of the day. But look, you know what? As long as it isn't as egregious as Fire Force, then just go ahead, man. Do what the fuck you want. By the way, I do think Fire Force is a great series. That is an example of fan service where it's like, okay, bro. Yes, when I was a youngin' who first got into Fire Force, was reading for the first time, and I was like, yo, Tamaki she ain't look half bad, She was wearing all that. Oh, wait, no, I lied, actually. I watched it before I read it, but same thing stands. Once again, I was a youngin' watching it, saw Tamaki for the first time, was like, okay, she's kind of hot. But the sheer amount, you know what I'm talking about, just the sheer amount of just random clothes slipping and shit, just, it's kind of stupid. But it's not stupid, like funny stupid, it's just kind of annoying stupid. So that's a really easy example of a series that I really enjoy with a character that I found attractive that still was over the top with its fan service. So it's not like I don't find anime characters attractive. Yes, obviously they're drawn to be pretty good looking most of the time. It's just, you know, there's levels of this stuff. Now, on the flip side, I will mention some series, funnily enough, do benefit from it. Easiest example is some shit like Food Wars, which absolutely slaps as a story. But I don't know if it would work as well without the outlandishness of its fan service to represent how good food is, for example. And then, I mean, there's like the obvious like High School DxD. But then that just brings me back to my earlier point of like, if I want to see fan service or anime titties or whatever, I could just watch hentai. I think the difference with something like High School DxD or Food Wars is that the plot actually is pretty good. With Food Wars, I guess the fan service makes more sense within its plot. With High School DxD, I remember when I first got into anime, I kind of watched it as a joke, but it was actually a pretty good story. I don't remember too much of High School DxD, but I'm trying to think if the fan service really mattered in terms of the plot or if it was just kind of random. I don't really remember. I don't know. Let's move on, though. Let's move on. This is dumb, but, like, it is a real conversation. This could be a whole video in itself. Kind of the theme of my reviews is always just talking about other videos that I'll never make. But it doesn't really matter. For all I know, Season 2 of Mikadono Sisters could have hella crazy shit, and we'll just disregard this entire section of me saying it doesn't have much. So, yeah, it's up to you whether that's a good thing or not. But I don't know. I thought it'd be worth mentioning. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about characters and designs. For the small handful of characters we got, I think they did well. All the different hair colors, the character archetypes, while not reinventing the wheel, match their designs well and just work story-wise. The series also makes a real effort to show off clothing language, how that clothing reflects who's wearing it, subtly and not so subtly at times, as it's even a part of the story for one of the girls, Nico. Also, despite saying earlier that Yu is bland or whatever I said, or a bum, there's a fucking funny ass gag that he just has a Riz face. He'll whip it out of nowhere, unprompted for no reason. Let's say he's helping out one of the girls, you know, oh, they just dropped this book. This is a book you dropped? And he'll have like fucking Riz face. Like all of a sudden he'll be the most handsome shoujo character ever. It's the one thing he got from his talented mother, clearly. And I don't know, that's one thing John actually showed me when he was reading the manga. I'm sure I could fucking find it in here somewhere. I found it, but it looks kind of more creepy in the manga than good like the anime. So I'm going to show the anime version too. But that's one thing John showed me. And I'm such a fool. I should have known this would be good off of that alone. This man has a superpower. The ultimate ability to turn on and off the Riz. Come on, man. That shit is nuts. And just to get the burning question out of the way, because every series like this is going to have its argument about who's best girl. Miwa. Miwa's the GOAT. She's my favorite of them all. Maybe it's design bias. You know, she's got the green hair. She's got the kind of more low-key vibe. I don't know. I do like the others, but Miwa's arc was pretty good. But the other two girls' arc was also really good. It may be even better than Miwa's. I don't know. I have to rewatch it. It's been a minute. Or maybe I'll read it and really look at it. But in terms of like going off the top of my head, Miwa's probably my favorite. So probably his design. I don't know. Or maybe just character archetype as opposed to like the specifics of their individual arcs. Although I like her interactions with you a lot as well. But I do with all of them. So I don't know. Miwa's the fucking one I'm going with for now. Who's your best girl? Comment below. Or if it's you, comment best boy. I don't know. Alright, last thing I want to talk about before the end of the video, because this video has become a lot longer than I thought. Every time I fucking tell myself a video is not going to be too long, it ends up being really long. With this video, I was like, okay, it's good, but it's not like peak fiction, so I shouldn't have as much to talk about. But it's also not a bad series, because if it's a bad series, I'll try to be in and out as fast as I can. If it's peak, I'll try to dissect everything, really get to the nitty gritty. Maybe even do spoiler talk. I don't know if that makes sense, like with how I gauge the length of these videos. But if you've seen enough of my videos, I'm sure you know there's levels to this. And once again, this isn't a bad series. I just didn't think it'd be this length in particular because there isn't too many things to dissect or like burning questions that intrigue me and mysteries to solve or whatever. It's the series that it is, and that's okay. But I also want to get out of here so I can chill and watch Kamen Rider. But like I said, we got one more section to get through. Let's talk music. First off, opening. Well, I actually don't remember. Let me listen to it again. Okay, after rewatching it, it's not bad. Pretty standard as far as openings go, but, you know, not bad. However, I really remember loving the endings because they had an individual ending animation for each of the girls. So, depending on whose episode it is, that's what would play. And they were all really well done in terms of, like, art presentation and whatnot and song choice. Really well done. Also, the OST overall is quite lengthy, with the Spotify release coming out to about 50 tracks, with a plethora of different vibes. I appreciate it a lot. There's a lot of slow and emotional instrumentals. There's some more fun ones, some chill ones. And I was listening to OST while I wrote this video, and there's just a lot of different unique tracks than I remembered. A series like this, I feel, will typically kind of reuse a lot of the same stuff, but this had a lot of very unique, specific tracks, you know? But then I remembered, this is Masaru Yokoyama, the same person who did soundtracks for Fate Apocrypha, Mobile Suit Gundam Iron Blood Orphans, Your Lie in April, so it makes sense. It's a lot better than the show really needed, to be honest, but it helps. It elevates it for sure, and that's why anime has the ability to be better than manga at times, depending on what ends up being elevated. Music happens to be one of those things. You're not going to get music from the manga, and in this case, the music, I think, is a plus. That makes the anime stand out, especially amongst other anime like it. And then once again, the sisters ending song thing is another thing that's like, okay, it's something that not every series has done. Yes, series have done multiple endings before, but once again, amongst the sea of anime that it is, and in the time that it came out, it was one of the only ones that had multiple endings. It's something that will make it stand out amongst other anime. I think that's cool. And yeah, it's just those little things that I think this show does right. And those are the things that really stand out to me. I feel like once you've seen enough anime, a lot of them in similar realms tend to blur together in your mind once they've been watched. Like, okay, it's been a year since I've watched this. Kind of remember it, but but the ones that do the little things and make the efforts, I think, are the ones that you'll remember better. And that brings me to the ending of this video, and I'll leave you off with this. I think I would call myself a fan of this series. As I said in the Bad Girl review like a couple months ago, the summer season of anime has made me really think about the fact that I've never really separated anime from what I watched and didn't hate and what I was a so-called fan of. Outside of like my all-time faves, but not every anime you're a fan of can be the top 10, the top 20, the top 50. It just can't number-wise. But there is a difference between me feeling like a fan, self-identifying as such, and just simply enjoying a show one-off for what it is. And I really started to pay attention to that this last summer anime season. And if season 2 comes out of Mikadono, I'll be there. I'm even considering reading the manga. If that's not at least level 1 gangster level of fan, then I don't know what is. But yeah, I'd recommend Mikadono Sisters. It's cool. It's funny. Inoffensive little show. Have fun with it. It's a short 12 episode season, whatever the fuck the season is. It might be 13, but you know how anime seasons work. But if you've watched it, what do you think of dealing with the Mikadono Sisters is a breeze? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you think the Mikadono's dad is best girl? I don't fucking know. I couldn't think of a witty thing. I normally write down something witty at the end. I didn't write anything, so I tried to think of something that fell flat. Let me know in the comments. Subscribe. Goodbye. These are fake glasses, by the way. I literally just got them in the mail. That's why I wore them in this video. And they didn't make me look very good. I just realized. So very unflattering portrayal of me today. And it is what it is. Subscribe if you want me to see more unfavorable portrayals of myself.